advice from people like that, or should they take advice from people that have been married and divorced?
Okay, so because you said a lot, so I kind of want to just make sure I understand. So you're asking if someone, are you saying single people or married people?
So people should a person that's never been married take advice from people that are in a successful marriage, a marriage that's been over 10 years or more, or should they take advice from somebody who's been married and divorced?
Oh, you probably just got here. I agree that you should take advice from people who have been divorced. And
really?
They're as long as they're in a healthy mindset, because like some people have bitter divorces. So if they're going to speak negativity over you about their bad experience in marriage, then I wouldn't take their advice. But if they have done the work to heal and are and acknowledge what they contributed as problematic in the marriage from their part, absolutely, there's nothing wrong with that because they've experienced of what a marriage looks like. And the same thing with like a person who's married. I personally don't think there's a perfect marriage. That's just my opinion. I think we all go through things in our marriages, and we just try to show up as the best person that we possibly could be in our marriage, and hopefully we're getting it right and doing it well. I saw someone put in the chat about communication. Communication is huge. The more you communicate with your spouse and partner, the stronger your marriage will be. The less communication, the more problems you may have.
Yeah, I want to say this, man, and it's a cold day today, man. I don't know where y'all at. I'm in Atlanta right now, man. But the thing about it is, a lot of y'all, man, it's logical fallacies all over the place. Cus D'Amato trained Mike Tyson. Cus D'Amato never fought. Well, he fought a little bit in amateurs, but he got injured, and he's considered one of the greatest boxing trainers ever. So you wouldn't let Cus D'Amato train you because he's not a fighter. He's not a heavyweight champion. You see what I'm saying? Or if Michael Jordan tried to train you versus like an actual person who trains people how to play basketball, I would rather train with somebody who trains people on how to play basketball versus being trained by Michael Jordan. Even though Michael Jordan is the greatest player, I don't give a fuck. It's not up for debate. Michael Jordan is the best player to ever step on the basketball court. That's just what it is. Now, when it comes to all this advice and stuff, it seems like in this day and age, people don't know how to reason properly. Why can't you critically think about what someone is saying and see if it actually applies to your life and what you want to do with your life? Why do you need to just listen to what somebody says, because they doing this or they doing that, or they must be right about something? Listen to what they saying and actually see if they're right about it. Just walk the line of questioning and the line of reasoning all the way through and see if this actually makes sense. But that's it. I'll end.
You know, Big Mark, you said
I agree with you 1,000,000,000%.
Big Mark, my brother, you say you never heard any divorced person say anything good about marriage. Did I hit it? Did I read that right?
Yeah, they don't typically have anything good to say about it, Archie.
Okay.
You said ever.
Well, yeah, and then you doubled it down, and I said, wow, Big, you said ever. Well, I was a man that was married for 18 years with one woman for 24 years.
I was just about to say that, Archie.
Until I was 36. And ain't no one ever, and I got $10,000 if a person can tell me they have ever heard me say anything bad about marriage. I am divorced, was divorced for 5 years, and then I found my current wife. I try to give context, because if you hear me speak about my current wife, you might think, damn, you weren't excited about your first wife. I'm transparent. I got married when I was 18. I'm transparent. I didn't want to, honestly, did I want to get married at 18? No. But because I went against my father's structure and my father and mother guidance, I had sex at 12. And I produced a child. And I comprehend and understand that, guess what? A man, my father and the men in my family said, when you bring a child in this world, your life is not about you. So, yes, you may hear the difference from my first marriage than this marriage, because I finally had an opportunity, not by circumstances or anything else. She was my girlfriend. We grew up in the same neighborhood. But I took the responsibility to not have a normal life because My father and the men in my family held me accountable, but I had a village. But this is the first time in my life I was able to vet properly, so tailored and fitted for me. So when you hear the differences in my marriage, it's from an 18-year-old boy to now when I got married at 42 again, met my wife at 40, my current wife at 41. There's a difference. And in between that time span of my first marriage, learning, failing, seeing where I went wrong, my 2-year sabbatical, again able to reflect and to better myself in areas for myself. So when I chose to get married again, guess what? I can show up the way I need to show up. Because back then, my manhood was rooted in the company I built in money. And I threw money at my wife and children to make up for time, but really didn't show up and be what I needed to be in the most important moments of time. So yes, I'm a divorced man. I could tell you where I failed at in my marriage. And mostly I really don't talk about why I failed for a divorce. I just said the covenant, violate the covenant of my marriage, and I filed for divorce. I speak more about where I failed as a man, as a husband, and as a father. And I grew from my mistakes to become the man that I am, that I don't make those same mistakes and break my current family up. So yes, you can learn, but to Dr. Mel's point, someone that has sound advice. Because to learn something, somebody must have to fail at it in order to, guess what? Not fail at it again. And that's my slogan. I had to look at the man in the mirror at 36 years old. When I first filed for divorce at 36, that I knew if I ever get married again, the man that I see, the reflection that I seen in the mirror and the mindset needed to change and transform to become who I am today. But learn and pull from my past experiences that I don't repeat that same mistake again. I didn't have a work balance life in my first marriage. I can make all the excuses why I didn't, but the excuses don't matter. Because even if I wasn't ready for marriage, guess what? Me having a child that young, I put my own self in that situation. So I had to learn on the fly, yet I had the example. I wasn't my mother and father. I knew what a marriage looked like. I knew how people need to operate. Because I seen it, guess what? My mindset had developed to fully take on that responsibility. But now again, marriage is easy for me now. But do we still meet challenges? Yes. But again, it goes back. I choose to not be guided by my feelings and emotions in a moment in time where we are at odds with each other, but we continue to choose each other. I chose myself in my first marriage, the reason I filed for divorce. Let me just keep it real with you. I chose me. Selfish, self-centered, because in that moment in time I cared about my feelings and I made a short-term decision that affected me long time. But guess what? I didn't stay in it. I didn't wallow in it. I didn't feel sorry for myself. I learned from it. And learned a man can have emotions and expression, but you never make decisions off emotions that have a long-term impact. I can admit that.
I think it just goes for emotional maturity. Because whether you're in marriage or outside of marriage, work, type of social interaction, what type of emotional maturity do you have? Do you know how to walk in love towards people, not be rude, have patience, be able to sit back and analyze, and be able to respond. Because when you're in a relationship or any other type of situation, whether you're single or not, ultimately you're really just dealing with yourself. You know what I'm saying? So if you're in a situation, you know how to deal with yourself and how to be patient, and how to kind of sit back and chill and be game and be able to respond accordingly, whether it be in marriage or any other situation. Anybody can give you advice on that.
Well, emotional maturity that's a huge word you just said, and I wrote something about that earlier in the post. And let's just be 100. Most people don't have emotional maturity. That's hard work, and you have to really sit with yourself, do the work, and really just self-examine yourself, self-reflect yourself. And that goes back to that marriage piece, to the point that I want to mention with Big, what he wrote in the chat. And I do get it. Like, maybe you haven't seen a healthy divorce relationship. And I'm not going to dismiss that because that's your lived experience. I think it's important that sometimes we have to honor people's lived experiences. Maybe that wasn't that person's situation that they haven't been exposed to. I have seen it where it's very few and far between because most divorces are not healthy. Most of them are very, very toxic. And I can tell you because I work with I do consulting with our judicial system in the state that I live in, and so people have to come through me to get certification in order for their divorce to be finalized. And so I hear the stories. I hear the anger, the bitterness, and yeah, it's hard. It's hard on people, and these are people who have children, so that's the piece. They have to come through me because if their children are 18 and under, then I have to sign off on and say yes, they completed successfully an 8-hour certification for their parent course, and and some of these people have been through domestic violence, trigger words, so I know that has nothing to do with the topic, but there's a lot of stuff they've been through in this marriage that has caused it to be bitter and people to be angry. And sometimes that takes a lifetime for people to heal from. So I can understand when you say that maybe that was your lived experience, you haven't seen it, but it does exist. There's some, I have a friend who just recently got divorced. And start off healthy, but it ended healthy, and now her and her ex are the best of friends. But it has to be a dual partnership. Both parties have to want it. So that's all I'll say.
Well, every conflict, I don't care if it was in marriage, out of marriage, one person desires something, the other person doesn't. You know, ain't nobody else has got to be religious in here, and I'm going to say this because if you don't agree with this, fine. How can two walk together unless they be agreed? That's the Bible. The other one said, there's no conflict. You have conflict because you desire something and you have not, right? They always talk about when you go to marriage, you're going to an altar. In other words, you're sacrificing yourself, And at some point in time, when somebody got divorced, one person wanted something the other person did, and was not able to resolve that conflict. At some point, if you have a desire that supersedes any self-desire, whether it be for money or certain sex or a certain way of doing things, if you have let me say the word, transcendent desire that supersedes all your natural desire, where you're committed to a goal outside of that, a lot of times you're not going to have a problem in your marriage. You're going to stand it, or even over your own self. If you got to argue with somebody and you're frustrated, it's because you desire something that you wasn't getting. Period.
Ping 3 to 5 marriage-minded people to the room. Ping 1 to 3 fun girls to the room. Pink tickets, join the house. Get rid of those pink tickets. It's free. Are people on Clubhouse really marriage-minded? What do y'all think? $25 to kick, $10 to goo. Anybody to the chat or goo you want out of the room with $10?
No.
I'm going to keep... Hold on, brother. I'm going to keep this open for a little while. We got a blizzard up here in the Northeast. And football comes on at 3 o'clock. Who's that trying to speak?
It was me, Ryan. What's that?
Go ahead, Ryan. If
no.
you can, get rid of that pink ticket, but appreciate it.
Are people really marriage-minded on here? No. I don't even think men need to be marriage-minded, in my personal opinion, whatsoever. I don't even think so, because I don't think that people know what it takes to be with another person and really stick it out. I don't think people have that type of commitment to be committed to someone to go through thick and thin. No, they're not marriage-minded.
whatsoever.
I'm gonna say the women are, and I'm gonna say the men are as well, because the script to get the women is you got to play into marriage. You got to run the script on her that you really thinking about marriage. So a lot of us keep it on our mind, but the women, it's a play, and the man is a play. It's both a hustle. The women trying to get, like I think Dr. B said it earlier. He said the women want, I think, what did he say? He said they want the marriage or the wedding. I forgot what he said, but he said they don't really want what's involved in the marriage. I'll let him, if he here, he can really break it down. But yeah, like it's just a hustle. Like it's a lot of people that's marriage minded, but it's for different reasons. And I think the men are hustling and the women are hustling as well.
That's why I said men don't even need to be marriage minded whatsoever. I think that's like a mental illness when a man say he needs to be married and have a marriage mindset. For real, I just do it because I think it's a saying. Women need that. We don't technically.
But let me say this.
Blow. Let me ask you this, Blow. Let me ask you a question for you. So if you said you got to run the script, right? So a script is something that's written out. It's basically a play. So you're running the play. I got you. So really, if he running the script, my brother, is that person really marriage minded? That's my question for you.
No, the question is, are they mature? They're not mature. If you were hustling and doing all that,
Mark, let him answer it. Is that person really marriage minded? So Blow, if you're running the script,
Yeah.
How?
Because in order to get on her level to really run the script, you got to think about it. And I think when you're thinking about it, you're gonna come across some incentives. You know what I'm saying? But I just think you can't really commit to it. But I think the fact that in order to get this woman that I'm attracted to, she's marriage minded. In order to really get her around me, I gotta run the script on her. So I'm thinking about marriage. I'm thinking about ways to connect with her. I think a reasonable man is gonna find some incentives in his thought process. He's gonna find some like, man, I think marriage kind of dope. I'm just not finna marry you. I'm finna play with you. You know what I'm saying? To run the script, but no, I'm not finna marry you.
So marriage. So Blow, check this out, right? I'm a boxer, right? I don't box anymore. That's what I used to do. I went from the amateurs to the pros. I box. Now, there's a saying in the gym that we always used to say: you can play basketball, you can play football, you can play baseball, but nobody plays boxing. That's grown man business. We used to say that all the time, right? I feel the same way about marriage. So nobody runs a script. Nobody plays marriage. You is or you not. You don't play marriage. You don't run scripts. You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion, though. I'm not trying to tell you how to live, brother. I'm not. But that's my opinion. You don't run plays. Either you gonna be marriage minded or you're not. You got you can't play both sides. You can't have one foot in and one foot out. You either go do it or you're not gonna do it.
Well, let me ask you this. Yeah, for sure. Let me ask you this: how you get the ladies without talking to her, like the ladies that you want? How you get her without playing with her mind, like without, you know what I'm saying, making her believe in you?
Yeah, we call it running game in Michigan where I'm from.
Not playing with her mind.
Yeah, we call it running game. Back where I'm from,
You don't got to do that to get a woman, brother. You don't got to promise marriage.
I'm talking about to make her submit.
Nah, hold on, so bro, I feel like when you're a grown man, you approach a woman, you come intentional and you come truthful. Running games and playing games is how we get into this crazy BS that we always going through. If you do the same thing twice, bro, you a fool. Not you, but I'm speaking in general. Right? So yeah, man, I'm not playing games. I don't run game. I don't play games. If I'm coming correct. And that's the honest God truth. No pandering over here. Real talk. You feel me?
For sure.
All that's immature, bro. All that running the game and trying to do all that's immature. That means you don't really have people put all their own self desires and making money. All that's immature. When you get a certain age and you realize it's just about living right, walking in love, and treating people right, all that little playing games trying to manipulate to get your way, you might as well get somebody a pacifier on that, bro. That's not mature. When you get to a certain age, you realize life is just about being a good person, loving on people, walking in love, and don't get rid of all those childish desires of how much money I got, house I got. Look at me, what I can do. Look how fine my woman is. People like that are not ready for marriage.
Of course not, because it's lying at the end of the day. If you really think about what it is at the end of the day, it's lying. It's just like anything else when you lie. The the more lies you have to tell, the more of them you have to keep up with in order to keep the lie going. So if you're running game, so to say, you're being somebody that you're not. That's a